house itself is sometimes toxic.
Oh, I agree with you there, just even
and
environmentally.
And so we can always feng shui something to make it comfortable. I mean, we gave away, this was it was such a wonderful experience. We gave away feng shui away every month. We would have our meetings, our association, Shambhala, Feng Shui Association meetings, and we would give feng shui away. Now, many times we would have a house that was owned by a senior citizen or a handicapped person. Now, especially for a handicapped person, it's a great story. This lady had MS, and when she moved into this house, she was only there maybe a month, and although she had not the disease had not affected her muscles and her muscular system and her central nervous system enough so that she was still walking around. She had a radio show. She was doing okay. And then in this house a month, and now she was in a wheelchair. Now, somebody had, she had this bedroom, and she had placed a mirror in the bedroom, and she wasn't aware where that was being placed, so that when she got up in the morning, she would walk to the bathroom or the closet to get dressed, and she sometimes fell because she didn't give herself a touch point in between that, from her bed to the closet or the closet to the bathroom. She needed just a piece of furniture so she could get her balance. And so she put the mirror the mirror was placed in a certain position so that she would see herself falling. Now, she also sat on the sofa in a specific spot, which all of us do. We have our favorite little spot, our little perch we sit on. And what happened was she was sitting over one of the most toxic spots in the house. And then when she was in the kitchen was very toxic also. So by the time I got to the house to feng shui it, she was really not in a good space at all. Because she was so sick, I said, you really ought to move from here, because the structure of the house is not good for you to walk around in, and there's so much toxicity. Even though I'm going to clear all the toxicity out of the house, it's really better if you just move. So she did, and I talked to her before she bought any house, every house she liked. We would go through it very, very, very thoroughly and look at this was where this would be the potential of happiness and good health living in this house. When she finally moved in and changed completely, her health got better. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about all the houses can be very toxic. The architecture can be, let's see if we don't use a word so strong a word as toxic, we could say certainly does not develop harmony or comfort.
Well, also in the electromagnetics of the earth,
yes,
and that we could do 10 shows on electromagnetics. Yes. Actually, minimum of 10 hours.
Yes.
First 3 hours, getting
yes.
the public clear about it. But
yes.
If we may, we need to tackle this thing with the poltergeists and the ghosts and all that, because I used to be part of helping run the Hollywood Athletic Club in Los Angeles a few years back, and they had it's a legendary premier special event location in Hollywood, and they have like 1,500 to 2,000 people there every weekend each night, and a lot of parties But there is a couple of areas in there that you walk upstairs and downstairs in certain areas, and for sure, and I never really believed in any of this, the atmosphere changes drastically. It's colder. There's this eerie feeling that there's spirits in there, that there's something in there. And when you go upstairs into a certain area, this other area, it's chilling. It's chilling. Mm-hmm. So I stayed out of there at night. I would not walk up there alone, okay, without the fire department, okay? But anyway, the point is that, is this something that you've ever walked into a space and it had this kind of feeling? And is that something that someone like you contends with, or do you call on somebody who specializes in this part of clearing the air?
Well, actually, I do specialize in clearing. And I know a lot of people say they love ghosts. I know they have places in Pennsylvania known for these old inns that have ghosts, and they really love the resident ghosts there.
Really? Well, I stayed in one in Arizona, one of those older places one night, and I was chilled to the bone where I stayed, and there was something in my room. I don't know what it was, but I didn't go back there. I think it was Prescott, Arizona. I'm not going to that place again. Yeah.
Well, there are, of course, earthbound spirits or ghosts or poltergeists, whatever we'd like to call them. They are everywhere because when a person dies, they have a kind of a window of time where they leave the earth and go where they're supposed to be going next after they die and leave the earth. And what happens, they say, I want to go check on Susie Q and see what she's doing, and let me go check on my husband and see what he's doing. Or husband might say, I'm going to check my wife, and boy, I hope she doesn't date anybody now. So we get into difficulties because then you don't take that window of time that you have to leave the earth. And my understanding, now, when there are ghosts, it needs a human being living on the earth to ask for help for that person. So a person that is earthbound is not happy. That is, a person that is earthbound is more as a homeless person.
You mean the ghost that's hanging out on the earth?
It's a person that they're in between worlds, and they're certainly not in a space where they can be evolving into their own wisdom or love, or however people would like to think about that, in terms of not being a human being, but just being a soul that is being nurtured. And so when we encounter these people all the time. Now, I feel that when I'm asked to clear, I feel that all the earthbound spirits are much happier when they are not earthbound on the earth, because they try to communicate with human beings that are living on the earth, and most human beings living on the earth cannot communicate with ghosts, or they try to influence them in a certain way. And I feel that's really what's the worst problem about people that get into sicknesses, and they get into, abuse of drugs or alcohol. And what happens then is they have earthbound spirits that died, and then the earthbound spirit, maybe they were a drug addict or an alcoholic, and they then have an influence over people who are drinking. Do you see? So there's a whole
energetic
release here that isn't really good. So that's what sometimes people, when they go, they need a lot of help because they have a lot of influences around them that they can't deal with. And I think that makes it really harder. And so I feel that what is happening at this time on the earth for maybe the past 10 years is that the earthbound spirits are being taken by angels off the earth. So anybody that has a ghost can ask for an angel. They would like to have an angel of Archangel Michael's angels, or Buddha, or Jesus, and ask it, an angel comes and takes this